Winter weather is once again bearing down on our WJTS viewing area. How does this impact this evening and your morning commute tomorrow? We'll tell you. Plus, Carrie Schneider is back with our friends from the Dubois County Humane Society, and Bill Potter has a rare interview with local jail inmate Cammie Hopster on tonight's edition of Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin this evening with winter's never-ending fury once again bearing down on our WJTS viewing area. The National Weather Service put the area under a winter storm warning earlier today due to this weather system that's now moving through. The weather is set to continue throughout the evening and into the overnight hours. Precipitation is set to be heavy at times, and it will eventually diminish later this evening. The Weather Service in Louisville says by the time the system moves through, total snowfall amounts of 4 to 7 inches are possible across portions of southern Indiana north of a line stretching from Jasper to Madison. They say south of this line, freezing rain is likely with ice accumulations of 1/4 of an inch to as much as 1/3 of an inch. Freezing rain is expected to accumulate on tree branches and power lines. Therefore, should significant icing occur, power outages are a strong possibility. Rick Lasher is with the Louisville office of the National Weather Service. He says a fast-moving wave of low pressure is the main culprit for the wintry mix invading our area.
It's out in the southern plains, developing actually along the Gulf Coast. We'll get a lot of warm air aloft with this thing, which is going to cause areas of your south to see a freezing rain event with the warm air aloft. And we certainly think your area east into Orange County and on over to Washington County should be the dividing line where there's significant snow accumulation as opposed to the significant icing.
Needless to say, the snow and freezing rain will make travel extremely hazardous this evening. If you must travel, motorists are being strongly encouraged to keep an extra flashlight, food, and water in their vehicle in case of an emergency. With the storm's arrival, many school districts across the viewing area let their students out of school a couple of hours earlier this afternoon. Turning to other news this evening, a Jasper man has been taken into custody on felony child molestation charges. At 6 p.m. yesterday evening, Jasper police arrested 42-year-old Christopher Lee of Jasper on a Class A felony count of child molesting and a Class B felony count of sexual misconduct with a minor. The charges are a result of an investigation into several incidents involving Lee and a juvenile female. Authorities say Lee touched, fondled, and performed oral sex on the juvenile girl over the course of the last 6 years. Police say all of the incidents took place in Jasper. The investigation is still ongoing and additional charges are possible in this case. The Dubois County Prosecutor's Office and Indiana Child and Protective Services are assisting with this investigation. The Dubois County Sheriff's Department is set to change a part of its procedure for issuing gun permit licenses. Starting on February 10th, the department will no longer be fingerprinting applicants on paper cards. They say this change will reduce the number of applicants for gun permits that are rejected. Now, Indiana State Police switched over to the automated fingerprint identification system back on January 1st. All fingerprints will now go through an extensive quality control process. Those prints that don't pass the process are returned to the police agency that the applicant went to. That agency is then responsible for notifying the applicant that they need to be reprinted. Glenn Sanders is the assistant jail commander for the Dubois County Sheriff's Department. He says in the end, the changes will save time for everyone that's involved.
Well, not only us, for the individual who's applying, I don't think people are going to want to come back in here twice and wait longer for their permit if the prints aren't good enough to qualify for their quality control staff at Indianapolis.
Folks in Dubois County who are applying for gun permits will now have to schedule an electronic fingerprinting appointment through MorphoTrust. Representatives of that company travel across Indiana and are in Jasper every Tuesday between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. To schedule an appointment with MorphoTrust, you can call 1-877-472-6917. You can also go online to morphotrust.com for more information. Finally this evening, a local businessman has expressed his hopes for the economic future of the area. During the Lincoln Land Economic Development Corporation's annual luncheon that was held this past Friday in Santa Claus, BR Associates founder Bob Ruckriegel spoke of great opportunities for economic development not only in Spencer County, but for the tri-state region as a whole. Ruckriegel came back to the central theme of planting the seed. He says it's an important one for the future.
I use the theme planting the seed for the future. You know, whatever we do in 20, 30, 40 years from now, and for our grandchildren, our children, and the future generations, that's why I talk about planting the seed and having the 25, 35-year-olds involved now. As they come along, they can help to nurture that and grow that.
Ruckriegel also says opportunities for growth across the region are numerous due to a centralized location.
I use the theory, we're sitting in the heartland here of a lot of things. We're sitting, as I talked, in the heartland of roads, river, rail. I didn't talk about rail, but yeah, we got rail in this area. So we got a lot of opportunities to plant that seed to attract 25, 35-year-olds now to do something.
Ruckriegel and his wife Lavella began BR Associates back in 1964 with the opening of Jerry's Restaurant in Jasper. BR Associates then took on franchises of several national chain restaurants, including Long John Silver's in 1969, Wendy's in 1976, Grandy's in 1981, and Denny's in 1991. The company also opened the Jasper 8 Theaters back in 1998. In addition to owning more than 175 restaurant franchises and the Jasper 8 Theaters, BR Associates also leases 20 real estate properties to Checkers Drive-In Restaurants Incorporated. All right, coming up after the break, Carrie is back with our friends from the Dubois County Humane Society, plus more on winter weather and a look at the rest of this week in your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform featuring Cammy Hopster. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.